They say you should never buy love. I didn't just buy it, I mortgaged my soul for it. This Christmas I learned the price tag. My brother's smile cost me everything. And now, I'm going to make them pay retail. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let me know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Ava Mitchell. At 30 years old, my entire world was my younger brother, Liam. After our parents died in the accident, all we had was each other. And all I had was the inheritance. They left a lump sum of money and a few valuable properties. My purpose became clear: use it to take care of Liam. His dream was a beautiful life with his girlfriend, Rachel. So I sponsored their extravagant wedding. I covered the down payment on their modern, sleek house. I was the silent engine behind their perfect world, living in my own small, quiet apartment. My happiness was his happiness. I truly believed that. That's why this Christmas felt like a milestone. I was invited to their home, the home I paid for dinner. I arrived with my arms full of gifts, my heart swollen with a fragile hope for family warmth. The house was decorated like a magazine spread, all sparkling lights and expensive scent. Rachel, 23 and always flawless, greeted me with a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Liam hugged me, but it felt quick, distracted. I was offering to help in the kitchen when Rachel said she had it all under control. Needing to use the restroom, I slipped down the hallway. That's when I heard her voice, sharp and clear from the master bedroom, followed by the tinny cackle of a speakerphone. I'm just so tired of her, Mom, Rachel sighed, a sound of pure irritation. Ava is always just there. This constant, clinging burden. Liam says she's lonely, but she's suffocating us. My blood went cold. I froze, pressed against the wall. Her mother's voice crackled through. You need to be smart, honey. She holds all the cards, those properties. Once you get her to feel guilty enough to sign them into a family trust, things get easier. Liam is on board. Then you can finally phase her out. For your own peace. Phase me out. A burden. The words weren't just cruel, they were a blueprint. This wasn't a moment of frustration, it was a strategy session. And the worst part? Liam is on board. The floor beneath me felt like it was crumbling. I must have made a sound, because the bedroom door swung open. Rachel stood there, her phone in hand, her face morphing from surprise to icy annoyance. No apology, no guilt, just annoyance that I had overheard. Trembling, I found Liam outside by the fancy grill he never used before I bought it for him. Did you hear what she said? I whispered, my voice breaking. She wants to get rid of me, to take what Mom and Dad left for us. He wouldn't look at me. He just stared at the dead coals. Ava, don't make a scene. Rachel's under a lot of stress with the holidays. Just respect her wishes in our home, okay? Respect her wishes. In our home. Each word was a nail in the coffin of my devotion. The brother I raised, supported, and loved had chosen. He wasn't protecting me, he was endorsing my erasure. I was being sidelined in the life I funded. I left without another word. I drove back to my empty apartment, the ghost of their laughter and plotting ringing in my ears. My eyes were so swollen with tears I could barely see the road. That night, in the profound silence of my own space, I did the one thing I thought I'd never do. I logged into my bank's website. And I canceled the automated monthly mortgage payment for 112 Maple Drive. I turned off the financial tap that had been flowing since the day they moved in. The silence after that click was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. It was the sound of my heart breaking and of something else, something hard and quiet, beginning to take its place. I was no longer just Ava, the sister. I was now Ava, the creditor. And they just didn't know it yet. The silence in my apartment after I cut them off only lasted a few hours. Then, my phone erupted. It started with a few confused texts from Liam around midnight. Ava, did something happen with the bank? By morning, it was a torrent. Dozens of missed calls. Texts shifting from faux concern to outright demand. Ava, call me back. This isn't funny. Liam, is this some kind of stunt? The payment bounced. Rachel. Then, the guilt trip, after everything we've built as a family, you do this? Mom and Dad would be ashamed. That last one, from Liam, was the final spark that burned away my last shred of doubt. Ashamed? I was sitting in a rented box, while they lived in a palace built with my parents' money. The audacity was a physical blow, but crying was over. Now I was searching. I pulled out the old, heavy document box from my closet, my parents' important papers. I was looking for a piece of my mother's handwriting, something to remind me of real love. But as I shuffled through property deeds and legal documents, a phrase in the dense legalese of the waterfront property deed caught my eye: line of descent clause. My eyes, still sore but now dry, scanned the paragraph. It stated that control of the prime assets passed to me, the primary heir. But if I was ever proven to be morally compromised, mentally unfit, or voluntarily relinquished stewardship, full control would revert to the secondary heir. Liam. My breath hitched. Voluntarily relinquishes stewardship. That's what signing a family trust would be. This wasn't just greed, they were using our parents' own contingency plan to legally loot me. But then I saw the savior's sentence: unless such relinquishment is proven to be executed under malicious duress or fraud. A wild, desperate hope flickered. Malicious duress. I had overheard them plotting, but that was my word against theirs. I needed proof. I needed them to say the quiet part out loud, to me. I called my mother's old friend, Elena Russo, a lawyer who was as sharp as her stilettos. In her sleek office, I laid it all out: the money, the overheard conversation, the clause. Elena's eyes darkened with recognition. The family trust suggestion. Ava, that was the first move. They were trying to trigger this clause. This is calculated. She leaned forward. If you want to protect what's yours and turn this around, you need irrefutable evidence of that duress. You need to make them believe they've won, so they get reckless. A plan, cold and clear, formed in my mind. I had to play the broken sister. I called Liam back, my voice soaked in fake tears and defeat. I'm so sorry, I choked out. I'm just lost. I don't know what to do. I don't want to be alone. I could almost hear his sigh of relief on the other end. He put me on speakerphone. Rachel's voice, sweet as poisoned honey, chimed in. Ava, we just worry about you. You've been so unstable since your parents died. Maybe it's best if you let us handle the big things, like the properties. Just sign them over into the trust for safekeeping. It's for your own good. Liam added, yeah, Ava. It's too much for you. And honestly, if you don't, I don't know how we can be in your life. You'll have no one. There it was. The threat. The malicious duress. My hidden recorder, running on the table, captured every vile, condescending word. I thanked them, my voice trembling with a performance of gratitude, and hung up. With Elena's guidance, I filed a lawsuit for undue influence and financial exploitation. Having them formally served was the next move. We needed to provoke a reaction, to make them panic and show their true faces. The reaction was better than I dreamed. 2 days after getting the papers, my intercom buzzed late at night. It was Rachel. Her voice was a snarl, no pretense left. Open the door, Ava. We need to talk. I hit record on my laptop, live streaming the feed to Elena's secure server, and let her in. She stormed into my apartment, her face contorted with rage, not even noticing the modest space. You pathetic little woman, she spat. How dare you? After all we've done for you, letting you cling to us. You were just the bank, Ava. The boring, lonely bank. And now the bank is closed? No, we're not done. You will sign those papers or you will be nothing. I stood perfectly still, saying nothing, letting her hang herself with her own rope. Every ugly word was a gift. This was no longer just about money. This was about exposing the rot. The game was no longer theirs. I had just changed all the rules. The storm after Rachel's visit was a quiet one in my apartment, but a legal hurricane was heading for Liam and Rachel. Elena moved fast. With the 2 recordings, the calculated phone call and the explosive live-streamed confrontation, she secured an emergency injunction. A judge froze all the assets tied to my parents' estate. The most immediate effect? The bank called Liam's mortgage due. The house at 112 Maple Drive was no longer a home, it was a looming foreclosure. Liam showed up at my door a week later. He did not look like the polished man from Christmas. He looked desperate, shadows under his eyes. But there was no apology in them. Only entitlement. Ava, you have to call this off, he demanded, pushing past me. This is insane. You're destroying our family. I looked at him, the stranger I had loved so fiercely. You destroyed our family the moment you conspired to push me aside, I said, my voice unnervingly calm. You chose to see me as a burden and a bank account. I'm just making it official. If you don't stop this, you'll have no family left, he shouted, that old, manipulative threat leaving his lips. It was the final, clean cut. You were my family, I said, looking him dead in the eye. The people who loved me are gone. I'm not evicting my brother. I'm evicting a tenant. The final hearing was a quiet, sterile affair, but it was my theater. When their lawyer tried to paint me as unstable and ungrateful, Elena simply played the first recording for the judge. Rachel's voice, cool and plotting, filled the room. Ava is a constant, clinging burden. Once we get her to sign over the waterfront property, we can finally phase her out. I watched Liam's face crumple as he heard his wife's true thoughts laid bare. I watched Rachel's turn to stone. The judge's ruling was swift. The properties were irrevocably mine. A permanent restraining order was issued against Rachel for harassment. The financial support was legally severed. I had won. Standing on the cliffside overlooking the waterfront property, my waterfront property, months later, I felt no fierce joy. I felt a heavy, solemn peace. The revenge wasn't a celebration, it was a reclamation. Down below, I could see a moving truck at 112 Maple Drive. They were leaving, their dream life packed into cardboard boxes. The last piece of the puzzle came in an envelope. A generous, anonymous donation to the Fresh Start Foundation, the nonprofit I was building in my parents' name to help others rebuild after betrayal. But I had Elena trace it. The return address led to a small town, to Rachel's mother. It was a silent, guilty plea from a woman who had finally seen the monster she helped create. I didn't send it back. I deposited it. The foundation could use the funds. Their poison would now fund someone else's healing. In my new, brighter apartment, surrounded by things I actually loved, I allowed myself a small, genuine smile. The burden was gone. I wasn't sidelined anymore. I was, finally, free. Thanks for listening to the end. If this story of turning betrayal into strength resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Your support helps bring these stories to life.